Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. This is episode 29. And Sean, it's our first episode of 2021.
It is 2021. Every single problem in 2020 is completely gone. It is absolutely gone. The new year happened, so now there are no problems. I've been going to bars and movie theaters, and well, no, they don't let me in them, but I'm trying at least.
Everything is fixed. Life is back to normal. Nothing is wrong. The horrors of our nation and really the world have been solved by the changeover of the year. But I haven't seen you since last year, so this is really...
Oh, don't do it. You did it.
I did it. I had to do it.
I almost got through January without someone saying that. I was so excited.
What do you mean almost got through January? It's the 5th of January.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Eventually they would have.
I almost got through it. Dude, you still have a lot to go.
I thought we were in the teens already, honestly. It feels like it's already gone by a lot.
Let's recenter you here. Ready? January 5th, 7 Eastern. You are in New England. We are recording a podcast. There's not a lot of news.
No.
But there's some good stuff that we'll talk about. I might rant a little bit. Who knows? But yeah, hey, there we are. So hey, let's start with what we've been watching. This is something we hadn't really covered in the past couple episodes as we were wrapping up the year and moving forward with kind of what we were expecting from 2021. I think the name of the game for that is keep the bar low for 2021. But first and foremost, I've been catching up on movies. So I finally caught Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and oh my God, did I love this movie. I was completely shocked at how much I enjoyed it. Chadwick Boseman is phenomenal in it. It's, I think, the most dynamic I've ever seen him in a film. Not to say he hasn't had other great performances, but there's just something about the energy he brings to this and the character that he's playing that really just put him over the top for me. And then I think I texted you like, holy hell, Viola Davis. Mm-hmm. I just love her as an actress. And she just put herself in that role, was consumed by that role, and was just phenomenal. She was just phenomenal. So that's a movie where I was like, is this a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 for me? And I'm like, oh, this is a 5 out of 5. I just love how they did everything.
There really is. It truly is something that's unbelievable between the human stories they put behind it, or how they establish, art versus the artist, and then how they naturally bring race into a problem with artists and, art in general in that culture. And, obviously 100% no spoilers, but that final shot in a couple of years will be my final shot Friday, because it chilled me to the bone. It was unbelievable. Like, this whole thing is great. I think this movie, I have it like as number 8 on my top 10. It may crawl up in years to come. Really.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, no spoilers, but some of the choices that the playwright makes in the story, the stage play that is thus the film, or has been adapted into the film, are just, oh my God. Talk about not seeing something coming. I was kind of blown away. So really good movie though. Really enjoyed it. The other one I watched was, I hope I'm allowed to talk about this.
You have an embargo, or?
I don't know.
It's coming out on Friday, so I think you're good.
It's coming out on Friday, and it's been at a lot of different festivals and stuff. So I'm going to talk about it. The film is Herself. It stars Claire Dunne. I think I'm saying that right. It's Dunne. So she's an Irish actor. It is a very, very good movie. It's basically about a woman who is going through a separation from an abusive partner and is just trying to make ends meet for her 2 daughters and trying to pick up the pieces. And she starts to build a house and all kinds of things happen. And it's just, I finally figured out last night that when people ask what my favorite type of movie is, my favorite type of movie is female centric, I think, and is authentic to the challenges that we as people have in real life. So I think about like Marriage Story. I think about Pieces of a Woman, Herself. Like, I'm just blown away by these films because I think that they talk about things that are very real, very prevalent in our society, but have not been the center of storytelling in the past. So It kind of hit me. I was crying at one point. I think I texted you that, and now I'm crying.
I'll probably be checking that out this weekend. I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely will be checking it out this weekend because I didn't watch any new movies this week, so I'm starved for some new movies. I didn't realize that this week was a time where people caught up with some of the movies they missed throughout the year, and so maybe next year I should chill out a little bit and allow myself to catch up with some of the movies I haven't seen. But instead, I went for it. And that means I revisited one movie that I've already seen and, just went back and looked at the classics like I always do. The first one is the movie I haven't seen before. It's The China Syndrome with Jack Lemmon, Jane Fonda, and Michael Douglas. And this is about conspiracies surrounding a nuclear power plant. And I mean, the performances are amazing. This has the very solid narrative of corruption in the industry and everything, and just trying to get through it. Jack Lemmon is the man on the inside. Michael Douglas is the passionate cameraman that's bearded with long hair, and Jane Fonda is the news reporter. And it's kind of got all of those particular notes. But at the very end of this, it just absolutely is the most satisfying with frustration as well, kind of burrowed in, which is exactly what you want to see. The other one was, of course, a rewatch, and I do not rewatch movies that much because I always want to watch new movies or like any movies I've never seen.
I struggle with that. That's just real quick to cut in. We were talking about Ready Player One offline, and we'll be talking about it in a little bit. I've been wanting to rewatch it, but every time I do, I'm like, but I want to watch this, and I feel guilty. Anyway.
It's difficult because there's an infinite amount of movies that I still haven't seen, and I still want to see all of them. And so that's a bit of a problem. But my big excuse is Sam has not seen all of these movies. So, we decided to watch Fargo, and she's never seen Fargo. And just looking back at this, it's an absolutely beautiful picture, just 100% told well, fascinating, intricate crime story that's also in a setting that is, just almost borderline silly. And that dark comedy is there, but also when the dark hits, it really does hit. It's not just goofy little silly stuff like you see in Deadpool when the violence comes in. I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorites. It's beautiful to look at. Sam liked it. She was into it. But she was wondering why is this the best picture? And so then I stopped talking to her for a couple of days. But truly, it's a great movie. I recommend both of them wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's been a while since I saw Fargo, so I definitely need to check that out again. I think a lot of films that I watched years ago, I'm very interested in revisiting just based on life experiences and seeing how they hit me now, a lot, especially when I was younger. I watched a lot of mature movies when I was younger, for some reason. So I don't know. We'll see.
I would argue, there's certain things, I had a little bit of a, not this one obviously, but a little bit of a rough relationship, and it was fascinating watching things like Her before and after that, or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind before and after that.
Yeah, and
that's kind of something that you see it from a totally different perspective. So yeah, as life has gone on, that could be interesting, rewatch-a-thon.
For sure. Oh my God, the movies would be endless in terms of what I mean? How they hit you then. Oh God. All right. Well, hey, let's move on to something that is, I know, one of your areas of interest, and we can share with everyone that the first Awards Watch with Math Teacher Movies hit the website, guidetomovies.com, on Monday. It has quickly become one of the top posts of the past few months, which is awesome. So I guess every week what we'll do here, and what we're what we will do here is every week I'll just have you talk a little bit about what's going on with the award season, any updates from your article or anything that's on your mind. I have one to throw at you after this. So.
Oh, nice. So the first thing to look at is my article was about the Critics Awards, which took place, I believe, in December. So they're already pretty much, it's a little bit of a latecomer in the news, but it's all we know right now based on awards buzz. Now, to keep in mind, filmmakers, everyone involved in film, and actors and actresses are the only people that vote for the Oscars, all right? And they have to belong to the Academy. So therefore, the critics don't really have a say in what's going on, but they do start the conversation. And right now, the conversation is Nomadland. And Nomadland is the big, very important movie that all the critics are loving, and no one has seen because it really has not released yet, with the exception of theaters, and a few different festivals. So here's also the problem: is the Oscars are happening in April, a little bit later than usual. And right now, Nomadland is the lead for the buzz. That means that 4 months they have to hold that lead for buzz. Most likely, it's going to slowly lose steam. I'm saying this without having seen Nomadland. I look forward to seeing it. It might be one of my top of the year, even though I already made my yearly list. But it's something interesting there. The other thing to keep in mind here is that January and February, these movies that are released then also qualify for the awards. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there's going to be other ones that pop up. Right now, I'm not going to get into too far. I don't know. I will talk forever, Joe, so you might have to.
Well, and I guess for everyone to understand, that's different this year, that the January, February films are going to qualify, because usually we get the Academy Awards in February.
Exactly. And so one reason was they moved the Academy. All of the reasons are because of COVID, but they moved the Academy back, to the ceremony back 2 weeks. And they also said, well, some movies may have had trouble distributing. Some movies may have had trouble finishing productions and stuff because of COVID. So they let it go a little bit more this way. Personally, I don't love the decision. I think that you could probably release something early in December. It can qualify, and then you release it lovely in January. And that happens far too much. But we're here. This is what it is. And so I'm sort of swimming in that. I think that one of the other big narratives right now is that Chadwick Boseman is very highly probable to get an Oscar. Now, you mentioned Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That's where I personally think he should win the Oscar for Best Actor. I think that he is pretty high up there. However, there's a few other heavy hitters there. Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, and the big one, Anthony Hopkins for The Father. A movie, once again, very few people have seen, but apparently they're saying it's his best performance. And even though he already has the Oscar, he's the old white guy, he is getting a lot of clout for it. And I think it might be a great role. So that's what's going on there. Best Actress is a little bit trickier. It's kind of everywhere. Viola Davis, Carey Mulligan, then Frances McDormand for Nomadland. So there's a few different things going on there.
And this is where I wanted to interject, because what I've been reading, because I did do a little reading of this today, is that, and of course I have personal interest in this, Vanessa Kirby from Pieces of a Woman is rising up in the charts or in the predictions for who may win, but Viola Davis is still running away with it looks like. So with the stuff I've been looking at, it's basically Viola Davis, Frances McDormand, neck and neck-ish, and then Vanessa Kirby.
Are you looking at Gold Derby?
I'm looking at Gold Derby, but I was also looking at a few other things.
Because I love Gold Derby. That's why it just seemed like I was like, oh, I just looked at that today too, and I saw that Viola Davis was at the top. Viola Davis at the top was very surprising. Not for her quality. She is amazing, and I would love to see her pick up a second Oscar for this. But this is a very interesting one, because there are these, Sydney Flanagan and Carey Mulligan, these indie women that are really sort of making some noise here. Now, this is once again because of Film Critics Awards, which don't mean shit, but that's just something to keep in mind, where those are swimming around as well.
Right. The one that shocks me on this whole list, well, two comments. One is that looking at Gold Derby for Best Supporting Actor, they have Leslie Odom Jr. At the top for One Night in Miami. And out of that group, because I think they're all going to be entered as Best Supporting, out of that group, I would not say Leslie Odom Jr. I mean, everyone was great in that movie, but I would not pick him as my main. The other comment there is that Sacha Baron Cohen is right behind him in Gold Derby. Obviously, Gold Derby is not the end all be all, but it's just interesting to see where things are leaning. And then the last one is that for director, Chloe Zhao in the lead for Best Director is fascinating for Nomadland, because she would then be, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first Best Director Oscar winner directing a Marvel movie.
Oh, wow. I have to look at that. I would have to do some research on that, but I think so.
I'm trying to think real quick, but because she has Eternals coming out in November.
Kenneth Branagh only got nominated. Oh, man, I'm looking at that later, but that is a really cool fact. That would be interesting. Also, second woman and first Asian woman which that's the woman director thing is a huge problem. So I'd like her to just win for that, even though I haven't seen Nomadland. But I really think Nomadland is right now has way too much buzz, way too early, and I wish it all the best. I can't wait to see it, but this looks like it's going to be sinking fast. The other comment I make, the Leslie Odom Jr., being at the top of the Gold Derby, I actually don't know how that is happening. He's not really winning any big film awards. It could be that he's singing and performing and he's making some sort of waves and likability there. But it just
name recognition, I think.
It is definitely name recognition because, I haven't seen the movie, but, Kingsley Ben-Adir, who I've seen him in several things so far, and he's exceptional and everything and is one of the greatest humans alive. And I just think, why isn't his name up there? And it's probably because Leslie Odom Jr. is a little bit more noticeable than Kingsley Ben-Adir.
Yeah.
But oh man, it's looking good. We didn't talk about Best Supporting Actress, and I'm just doing it off the top of my head right now, and I can't remember any. Speaking of Borat, speaking of Sacha Baron Cohen, who plays Borat, Maria Bakalova is in the lead, I believe. I don't know about Gold Derby, but she is getting most of the press, most of the buzz for her performance in Borat's subsequent movie film. I think this works great for her. I think this is, you're doing an improv comedy performance. You hold down the movie for a large point of it. And I just think this is it's out of left field, but it's great. It really is great.
She's honestly what makes the movie fresh and different than the first one in a lot of ways, which I think, and you see all the publicity that they've been pushing out with her recently. I think she just did an interview with Variety, if I'm not mistaken. But they're making that push because I think that they see an opening there. Amanda Seyfried is she's been hanging at the top as well for May. But Best Supporting, I didn't even read this section before we were talking today, but Ellen Burstyn's in there for Pieces of a Woman. And I am not obsessed. I swear I'm not obsessed. But just that was one movie that I saw where I was like, these are two performances that are certainly award worthy in my eyes right off the bat. Viola Davis, Chadwick Boseman, they are certainly award worthy as well in my eyes. Others, I think that Kingsley Ben-Adir from One Night in Miami is up there as well for me. I don't know. But the thing is, we're sitting here in January. We're still 4 months away, essentially 3.5 months away. And who knows what's going to happen between now and then.
That's why it's really dangerous to be in the lead right now. You mentioned Sacha Baron Cohen. That's another one for Best Picture that might swoop in. Is Trial of Chicago 7. Why? Because everyone loves it. And I think it's a better movie than Green Book, but it is kind of a Green Book movie where it's like, hey, there's an issue. We're friends. And I honestly think that, Trial of Chicago 7 does a little bit of a better job than that. But a way better job than that. but I really do. It is something where, especially this year, it's like, let's watch something that makes Sacha Baron Cohen laugh and just kind of go through there.
Yeah, and it's also Aaron Sorkin, and it's based on a true story, so you're always going to get a push with those. The Academy loves true stories and true adaptations. All right, before we move on to our news, and just as a little plug, every Monday your column will be coming out with the latest news regarding awards and your awards watch activities. But before we jump into the news, you do have a comment here on the live stream tonight. Someone's asking, John Healy is asking your thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984. So if you can summarize it quickly.
Oh, John Healy, I miss you so. I haven't talked to you in a while, but thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984 it was a disappointment. I wanted to be better. I was rooting for it. I'm not one of these people that are just like, let's jump on the bandwagon. Truly, madly, deeply, I wanted this to win. And it just failed. I think that, boy, I'm trying to put up my best review face here. I haven't been looking at the live chat, and now I'm looking at it. But it just is unfortunate that I really didn't love it. I think that there was the villain problem, too many and very, very unspecific and not totally realized. I think it said some weird things about culture, which is an odd thing. Oh man, he's with me. All right, good. I never know with Johnny.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that movie. I was just going to go that was my thought on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. If that was the bit, I would have done it as well.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on to our news for the week. Not much to discuss, but we do have some interesting stories. But Sean, first and foremost, can you do or can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
Oh, yes, but you have to turn your back, and then you'll wonder why the stickers have got moved.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
okay.
And like a few of them are hanging off and missing because they didn't have enough like glue or adhesive.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what is coming. We are getting a Rubik's Cube film from Hyde Park Entertainment and Endeavor Content. The Rubik's Cube was first created in '74 by a Hungarian sculptor and professor. Of course, it's gone on to be a massive hit. I hate it. It also is the center of worldwide competitions now, which is a thing I didn't know about, but it makes sense given like chess and everything. So essentially what's happening is they are making a movie about the Rubik's Cube, and I am not quite sure what that looks like. I'm assuming it's going to be about like the history of it in a sense, or like, you know, how it came to be. And I don't know, maybe it's a weapon or so. I don't know.
Well, Joe, as I mentioned in in the article, in your article, that it's going to be about a Rubik's Cube universe. So it's going to be like the Marvel universe. So there's going to be a movie about the white side, a movie about the red side, a movie about the blue side, and then after like about 6 movies,
we have that. It's called American Politics.
Oh, there he is.
Yes, they did say that they look forward to creating a wonderful and complex Rubik's universe. I can't do anything with this story because my God. But we're also getting a game show centered on the Rubik's Cube too. So my question is, what the hell does this look like? Unless it's like a Family Feud or something where you have to like quick work to match all of them or something. I don't care. I don't want them.
I will actually draw something for you. I'm going to plug a Netflix short documentary. It's about 40 minutes, so but like technically short documentary called Speed Cubers. About what you're talking about, the competitions for solving the Rubik's Cube. And it was the most emotional, beautiful documentary. I was actually in tears at some moments. It was truly magical. It was about, 2 champions, one of them, like trying out different things, going for it in different ways. Another one who has social issues, believes he's on the spectrum and stuff. And he starts to bond with the other champion. It's these 2 champions that are starting to get, work together to help each other out. And if that's going to be the movie, then I will be first to see it. If it's a movie about the invention of it, I will be second to see it. If it's a movie about just like, I don't know, a cube that we're watching solve, it's tricky on how this can be made. It's definitely going to be some sort of story behind it.
It's confusing to me only because, well, I guess confusing is not the right word. I think about the Tetris movie that's coming with Taron Egerton as the lead, and I think that's more about like the tumultuous IP battles that they had over Tetris back in the day, which is going to be interesting from a business standpoint. So unless that happened with Rubik's Cube or something like that, I don't know what we're dealing with here, and what they don't really touch on what the story is going to be or anything that we are getting from it. So I don't know. Will I see it? Yeah, come on. But I don't know.
It could be okay. It really could. It'll probably end up being a biopic of a disappointing nature, but hopefully it can work out.
Yeah, in 4 years we're going to be talking about the best picture race between Tetris and Rubik's.
I'll just be like, I
quit. Oh my gosh. Speaking of I quit, he didn't quite quit, but let's dive into some DC news here. Ray Fisher we've talked about the allegations that Ray Fisher has levied against Joss Whedon and others involved with the 2016/17 reshoots of Justice League, which did come out in 2017. Yes. So not long after Warner Media concluded an investigation, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, we did get a tweet from Fisher in response to DC Films president Walter Hamada's interview with the New York Times. And basically Ray Fisher said this: Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and WBPR's failed September 4th hit piece, you may remember they tried saying he wasn't cooperating with the investigation. He shared receipts on Twitter and was like, I am. Sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I will not participate in any production associated with him. So that obviously calls into question any future appearances by Ray Fisher as Cyborg. just yet another interesting step here that it seems like or interesting development, I should say, that the whole issue that Ray Fisher is discussing and is fighting back against goes all the way to the top of DC Films.
This is honestly heartbreaking to hear. It's just, this has been like a long battle between the two of them, and it just seems like he's frustrated and he's done with it. And good for him for, saying like, I'm out. I can't deal with this kind of stuff. And I support him in that. I think he was kind of put through hell. I really wish him the best. I want to see him in a lot of stuff. He was, I didn't like Justice League, but he was one of the parts of it that I really loved. And, we're going to get more of it in the cut. So I'm excited for that. And I just really wish he will be able to like be in a lot of roles, because I worry about like other studios being like, oh, this guy, wants to be treated like a human. We can't have that going on. And I really hope that won't be the case. Something that came to mind, and it is actually due to race, but also like I could see like, hopefully Jordan Peele's company, Monkey Paw, like, hires him for some movies and stuff, just to get him out there and then get him realizing this guy has talent. All right. And this was a, horrible situation he went through, none of it, which is his fault. But he spoke out, and that's one of the most important things there. And that's something that I want him to get Hollywood roles for speaking out, because I'm sick of, go for it.
No, I'm with you. It's just, I'm sitting here thinking about how interesting it is that I was just talking about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and there's a line in there, and I just pulled up the quote so I get it right. But Viola Davis's Ma Rainey says, "They don't care nothing about me. All they want is my voice. Well, I done learned that, and they're going to treat me the way I want to be treated, no matter how much it hurt them." And it's just fascinating that Ma Rainey is a story that takes place in 1927, but we're still dealing with a piece of this here. Like it's the same type of thing where like they're actors and they're dispensable apparently to WB, who's not going to make the changes or fight to keep the individual. It makes me think that more happened behind the scenes here than we know, in terms of maybe Hamada not like owning up to what happened or his role in it or whatever.
Could this be something, and this is going to be tinfoil hat, like, wearing right here, but Justice League was determined to be a cul-de-sac after this. Could this be because they just wanted to get Cyborg out of there? They wanted to get Ray Fisher out of there, which that seems insane to me. That really does seem insane as it comes out of my mouth. But I worry about like something like, people that high being that petty.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's also another dynamic here, and the next piece of the DC story that we're going to talk about is around Zack Snyder and Justice League. But I do think Walter Hamada is an interesting character from everything I've read and seen recently. I think that he is threatened by the power that Zack Snyder has wielded here. And I mean this.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, I believe. Yeah.
All honesty, this movement was built around Zack Snyder to get this movie made, and so a big swatch of like DC's future is, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but a big, there's going to be a big 4-hour film series / film of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And what if that does really well? What if, and then what's that do to the rest of your films in comparison? And I think he's in a conundrum there. So just jumping forward real quick is that Zack Snyder did appear on Comic Book Debate, and he was talking about the possibility of continuing down the DC extended universe path that he had set forward. And Justice League, of course, is hitting HBO Max. We think in March. I've read April somewhere. But this is what he said. As far as what I did, and as far as what my vision for what I wanted to do with these characters and the journey I wanted them to go on, it's well known that I planned on more movies, 5 movies or something. But I'm busy. I've got a lot going on. Is it cool that the fans have so much faith in the trajectory? Yes, it's amazing, and I couldn't be happier, and I'm excited for them to see Justice League so they can really drink the entire elixir of Justice League. But would I continue? I have no plan to. But like I said, I didn't think I'd be here, so who knows? So this is what's interesting to me, is because I have said all along that I do believe firmly that there are other things in the works should this really take off and should this do really well. And I think that building a multiverse the way they have gives them that opportunity to do so. When I think back to that cul-de-sac description and reading other stories, I've read that wasn't a term that was used by Hamada himself, but that was from a source within WB. So, take that with a grain of salt. But I read this as Zack Snyder trying to have it both ways here, right? Would I continue? I have no plan to. But like I said, I didn't think I'd be here. So who knows? It's the same type of thing they did with the Snyder Cut. I put in the story on guide2movies.com. The Snyder Cut wasn't happening at all until it was. All of a sudden, it was like, now we're doing the Snyder Cut. So who knows what's coming down the road? And I really hope that does include Cyborg if we do see. I hope that Cyborg is included in future films, regardless, with Ray Fisher. I did see another post today from a source that I'm not 100% confident in because they've gotten some things wrong in the past, but it said that WB is already looking at different actors for Cyborg. I think that's an easy, leap to make based on the stories that have come out in the news that we've gotten and his tweet. But do you think that? Well, I guess what is your thought on all this? Because you're not a comic book person. We've talked about this in the past, but when it comes to seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max and potential success, potential flop, but potential success, would you expect that WB would want to continue on with that if it did well, or would you think that they would just toss it?
The one thing that's truly consistent about WB is that they're inconsistent as hell. So it's like, I could say, like, right now they're saying they will not be pursuing a second Justice League. I am expecting next week us to be talking about them pursuing a second. It really is one of those things. Let's face it, you mentioned it a few times, and of course we are in a comic book movie bubble and a movie fans bubble, but I think the Snyder Cut is going to be insanely successful, especially now that most people that have HBO Max are Wonder Woman fans because they signed on to HBO Max to get Wonder Woman, so they're going to hang tight until then. And I just really think that might be the lead success there. I also, just reading Zack Snyder's quote, he seems like a very cool dude and chill dude, and he is just like kind of talking, like he's just sort of saying, yeah, maybe like 5 movies, and I don't know if maybe he did, maybe he is that regimented, or there's a chance that he's just kind of yeah, I'd love to do it. I don't really do it. I'll do it. I don't really he just based on like how the quote was, he was just casually talking. But I mean, I think they would probably bring him back for the money. It's like, that's what's going to talk here. And, people are upset about Wonder Woman 1984 for various reasons. Some of them entirely unfair, or misogynistic and disgusting. But my issues with it are, there's just this There's this inconsistency that's going to continue to go on no matter what. It's like, pick a lane. If you're going to do the thing where DC just breaks up and does all their individual movies and stuff, that's fun. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying those. If you're going to do something like Marvel where they're all together the whole time and they're always going to interweave and stuff like that, then do that. I think that's fun too. But they have shown that they have not been able to handle that. And so it's frustrating to watch the back and forth.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. I think what would be smart was if they're going to do all these different like Earth 1, Earth 2, all that stuff, HBO Max is Earth 1. Movies are Earth 2 or something, but they can't even do that because they also have 2 different paths in movies right now. They have 2 different paths on HBO Max with Justice League coming out, plus the Peacemaker series that's going to be hitting. Not to mention Wonder Woman 1984, but I guess that would be considered in the DC. I mean, the other thing is he has a lot of support from the directors that have worked for DC. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. But another wrinkle on that was that we had learned a few months back, that Jared Leto was returning to reprise his role as the Joker in a scene or scenes for Zack Snyder's Justice League that was being filmed. That's fascinating to me. I don't know what that's going to look like, but appearing on Variety's Awards Circuit podcast, Leto refused to confirm that this was happening, but then said, "Oh, I've heard this. I may have been in it. I heard the rumors." And then went on to praise Zack Snyder and said, "I look forward to working with him again in the future. We have lots up our sleeves, Zack and I." So that's really interesting, whether he's talking about another project or that's kind of an allusion to or alluding to Joker again. Like, it just seems like, again, we're getting so many inconsistent messages.
It does, just like Zack Snyder. This seems like a guy that's just talking. He's kind of just talking. I look at this, and unfortunately, I do not like Jared Leto, and I do not take his word because I don't like him. That's not a factual. That's not a good journalism statement to be in. But I just can't really trust the guy. It seems he's a little bit off, and not just because of his performance as Joker, but because of his preparation for the performance as Joker. But yeah, a little bit off. He mailed dead mice to everybody. And what was my other point with this? Oh yeah, a Joker movie. A Joker movie really, at this point, is just a bad move. There's been one that was nominated for 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. It's difficult to go higher than that.
See, I don't think that's what they're talking about, honestly. Okay. I have to be very honest with you, and this is maybe tinfoil hattish again, but here's where I'm thinking. I said it in this podcast, that I do think that they're waiting to see how Zack Snyder's Justice League does. They brought back Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. They brought Deathstroke? Deathstroke.
Yes, Deathstroke, yeah.
They brought Jared Leto in. And there's, of course, they're talking about scenes that will be happening in the future, but apparently they didn't film many additional scenes. So my whole thing is, I think that it's a way that they can wrap up these stories if they want to, or kind of like put closure on something that was introduced and didn't go anywhere, or it's a way that they can lay breadcrumbs for where they would go in the future if we do get a Justice League 2 or something, or a series or whatever it may be. I do think that they are waiting to see what happens with this, to see if there's more mass appeal for Justice League than the Snyder Cut people. Maybe that's just my hope. But the other wild thing that we're getting with DCEU, and if you were on Twitter yesterday, it was really frustrating. So months back, Griff Schiller, a friend of our podcast, as well as Sean Chandler, on their podcast, Griff kind of broke the news that they were looking at Michael Keaton to come back for the Flash movie. At that point, they were considering it like a Flashpoint movie, which is a storyline that is very popular and being adapted. So Michael Keaton has since been confirmed to be returning as Batman in that movie. So is Ben Affleck, as we now know. This does not include Robert Pattinson's Batman officially, because they're saying that that's kind of like its own, story being told off on the side, which is fine. But then what really started spinning yesterday was that Keaton was going to be the DCEU's Batman moving forward, meaning that any additional movies that happen within the DCEU, which Affleck started as Batman, was going to be Keaton. The writer of the New York Times article, where people had kind of like exhumed this thought or rumor from, came out and said, whoa, like I know nothing about that. Like I'm talking about Keaton for this movie. Griff Schiller in the past did tell us that the idea was that this would lead into a Batman Beyond movie, which is what DC fans have wanted for quite a while, which would be interesting. But I don't know. I also think just bringing Ben Affleck back for Flashpoint or for the Flash as a one and done, I don't see that being a one and done. So it's so fascinating because there's so many different tendrils to follow here in terms of what's happening.
If you're talking about bringing back Affleck or bringing back Keaton for the ones and dones, or if they're going to be the centers of the universe, these are like huge, high profile celebrities. If they're going to have like just an old Batman kind of chilling and being like, back in my day, we, I don't know, smoked Gotham cigarettes. And it's just, I had nothing. I just think about, why don't you just sort of like, if this guy's going to be off in the shadows, why don't you just either, maybe Keaton loves the idea of coming in, or just, casting someone who's a character actor, or just someone who's going to be in the background. It doesn't seem like Batman's going to be taking hold or taking shape in these movies. I am remarkably out of my depth talking about this stuff. I have no idea what's going on. Let's talk about Oscars.
No, I mean, you're spot on with it though. So it's just all over the place. You said it earlier. The one thing that DC does really well is being inconsistent. And that's what we're getting here. Sean, I have a game to play with you that is
terrified
based on the fact that you certainly have a very limited knowledge of comics. And so what we are going to do here is bring up this fantastic, a few pictures here.
Okay.
And what I want you to do Well, first off, these are villains of Batman that we haven't really seen on screen.
Oh crap!
If you are a fan of the television shows, like Gotham or Batwoman or any of those, some of them have been woven through, but I don't think you are. So what I want you to do is give me your best guess as to who these people are, and walk us through your thinking in getting there. So here's the first one.
Okay, so we've got someone that. Ooh, all right. So I'm trying to cheat a little bit, and I'm seeing Y2K, the Mayan. So this is like like Apocalypse is his name or something. Apocalypse Man, because he's talking about all the different like the Mayans, the Y2K, and I don't. And there's some numbers in underneath there. Oh boy, this is very. Oh boy. All right. So this guy got to go with Apocalypse Man.
Okay, well, if you take note of the words that are on his head, he has months on his head. He has numbers in his jacket.
Oh, I know who this is. Calendar Man.
This is Calendar Man.
Yeah, this is someone I think our friend of the pod, Kevin, told us about. Told me about this guy.
Yes, I believe he's related to the storyline that they believe the next Batman is based off of. So the long Halloween, I think it's called. All right,
yes.
Next one.
Okay. So clocks for eyes, clocks for ties. Gears behind him with a lovely orange part. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I will say Gear Face. Gear Face, Gear Man.
This is Clock King.
Oh, come on. Oh, I didn't think it would be so obvious with clock on there, but
you are not far off. You're not far off. Remember, these are comics, so when it comes to obvious, yes.
Go for it.
The guy's name is Batman. All right, next one.
That's Batman. Let me see. He looks pretty much like Batman, but he's probably not because he's a villain. Oh, he's got kind of like a birdish sort of. Birdman was not real. That was a disappointing Oscar winner for Best Picture. And he's got the bird, the owl, the night owl, the night shape owl.
Owlman.
Is it Owlman?
Owlman.
Fuck off.
Oh, and also, don't look up here because it says it up here.
No, you're good. I cannot read that much. Oh, I don't have you on like full thing. That's probably why. But yeah, I can't read it.
All right, next one. 2 more to go.
Well, I mean, he's green. He looks like Kick-Ass. But I know that's probably not the case. But he really looks like Kick-Ass. So green. I got nothing but green and yellow. With the green hood, hooded green man.
What's behind him? Can you tell what that is behind him?
So that's a Batman that slipped a banana peel. He slipped on a banana peel. This is the banana pooper.
What about all this?
That is a opening of some sort. I don't think it is. Oh boy,
This is Kite Man.
Oh, that's a kite. Oh, go figure. How about that? That's fun.
Oh, and the last one.
No, that's not a real one. Let's be serious. Oh, we were zooming in. Okay, good. Well, I mean, I don't want to just say Pig Man, but Pig Slaughterhouse, Slaughter Pig. Slaughter Pig Man.
Professor Pig.
How in the world is that a professor? He's bloody with a meat cleaver.
He looks like he's wearing, nice pants. It looks like a button-down shirt, potentially.
If I had a professor that looked like that, I would ask for a drop.
Yeah, I am leaving. I am out. Well, that is our game.
That was actually quite fun, even though, once again, horribly out of my depth.
Just wanted to see how you would do with that. So the crazy thing is when you look up characters or villains that are kind of not as mainstream, a lot of them actually have been tackled in the DC shows. So it's kind of, DC is reaching into the well a little bit. Let's talk about Tiffany Haddish, switching gears a little bit. We found out today that Tiffany Haddish, who I think is one of the funniest comedians in film right now, she makes me laugh so much. She is going to be starring in a film adaptation of M.T. Anderson's novel Landscape with Invisible Hand. The story follows a teenager and his girlfriend who stream their dating lives to make money for their families, put out of work due to the invasion of aliens who bring labor-saving technology. This goes on. The story goes on that the two that are dating end up hating each other, but they are making money for their families, and they have to figure out what to do. It's a sci-fi film written and directed by Corey Finley, who did Bad Education, which is really, I think, a cool get for that. Sci-fi for Tiffany Haddish?
It could fit. I mean, she's someone that has fun. She's someone that's like goofy and sassy enough to sort of make this happen. I can't see it at all, which is like even more fun. I cannot imagine her in a science fiction. My real hope for this film, this really needs to be the case. This needs to be like pretty dark. If this is a goofy comedy, it will land flat on its face. I could be wrong, but it could land flat on its face. I think Haddish can do that fun little dark edge. I also think Corey Finley knows how to do something that is both dark and like pretty funny as well. Like I want this to be comedic. Obviously, it's a great setup for being comedic, but what they're doing could be said a lot about like, class structure. It could be a lot about said of like what people have to do in order to get out of there, what they have to do when they're in certain relationships, not being able to get out of those in order to please the families. It is like, this is rife with like some deep stuff, and I hope that that's achieved. Did they say who Haddish was going to play?
They did not. I was trying to decipher that. I was wondering if she's like an older girlfriend or something of the teenager, or I don't know. I can't figure that part out.
I mean, I imagined her as the alien, like, kind of just like, like just sort of, in maybe a human suit, or like making something happen there, like making them, have to like stream it, or, the producer of the television show or whatever.
Well, that might be that would be a way that I could see her bridging that, the journey to sci-fi a little easier if she is in that comedic role of like loving a reality TV show of humans. I don't know. It kind of screams like, I wonder what direction this is going into, because I immediately was like, is this like OnlyFans? Like a couple is streaming. I don't know. It should be a development that is worth watching, because I like how in Bad Education this writer and director was able to kind of focus on the subversive topics that Bad Education was all about, when you're talking about like, the greed and the ethical issues and things like that. So I wonder if that's a direction that they'll go with this script, and being able to dive deeper into it, deeper into those issues, I should say. So well, we shall see.
We shall.
Let's head back to comic book world with a really jacked up story here. So you may remember that Fox had all the X-Men. They had the Fantastic Four characters. They had Spider-Man. Still do. Still do. No, they don't. Sony has Spider-Man. But
yeah, it's a little both. Yeah,
it's so weird, because Marvel in the past used to sell off the rights to specific characters instead of the whole lot. Which is how we've gotten, Marvel playing with like Sony well, so that they can bring Spider-Man into the MCU, all that jazz. Anyway, back when Fox was fucking up these movies, there was talk of an X-Men versus Fantastic Four film that was first confirmed by X-Men First Class screenwriter Zack Stentz. The film would have used every Marvel character that Fox had at the time. So that would include Daredevil, and there's someone else I'm forgetting. But Daredevil will be included in that. And it would be based on the Civil War comic, which is the same comic that Captain America Civil War was based off of. It would pit the two groups against one another after the Human Torch, played by Chris Evans, strange enough, in the first two Fantastic Four films, after he causes excessive damage in Manhattan, leading to the Superhero Registration Act. If this sounds familiar to DC fans, it's kind of similar to Batman versus Superman and what leads them to warring against one another. But what we found out recently, or got confirmation of recently, was that Jason Bourne director Paul Greengrass confirmed that he was in discussions regarding the film, though nothing came out of it. So that would have been pretty fascinating. Paul Greengrass directing this.
I love this idea. And now I want Paul Greengrass to direct a superhero movie, because I think he would bring something gritty and entertaining and a little bit more, not that they're not mature, but a little bit more mature, with stakes that feel real, even with like people in capes flying around. Sorry to stigmatize it that way, but My issues with this, well, there's no issues with this because it didn't happen, but like some of the issues with this would have probably been a disastrous mess. And that is because, Captain America Civil War took its time, meaning there were several movies that introduced several of the characters. It seems like in this one, we'd see some characters from previous movies, but we would have never seen them together before, interacting before, arguing before. So it would have been forced. It would have been a lot for one movie. And it would have been a little bit too tricky to pull off. I'd say that, Greengrass could make it awesome. And if it has the proper writers, it's good. Because what we know about these Marvel Avengers movies is it's not just the airport scene of all of the cool characters fighting. Right. And that is the fun part. And that is the part that we watch on YouTube over and over again. And that's the part we want to keep on going. But there has to be a lot of story around that. You have to take care of all of these characters and all these events and make sure the stuff, when they all fight, makes sense. Like in Infinity War and Endgame and in this.
I'm reading a little bit more as we're talking about this, because the details are very important to me here. Essentially, number one, this will be potentially a future quick hit on Never Coming Soon podcast. But yes. the Slash Film has an article from 2019 that says the heroes are split on opposing sides, and among the key matchups was a Wolverine versus Mr. Fantastic battle that ended with Reed Richards pinning Wolverine down, extending his hands until they're one molecule wide, and using them as scissors to cut the mutant's arms off.
Okay. Now
I'm so into that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so into that.
So I'm just thinking, because Chris Evans is in this as the Human Torch, this was probably going to be an early aughts movie, right? 2010
was when they were looking at it.
That is interesting, because that is just when the Avengers stuff was starting. And they weren't really they had the plans of a universe, but it wasn't complete. That would have been I love that timeline already. Okay.
I'm going to have to dive into this a little bit more because it's just so interesting to me. All right. And final story for this fantastic evening is we're getting a Ready Player 2 film in development because a Ready Player 2 book was recently released. So, of course, why not make a movie? Did you like Ready Player 1?
I wish I liked Ready Player 1, but I actually quite hated it. It had a lot of amazing stuff. Like all of the puzzle pieces were there of all stuff I loved, and not a single one connected. It was unfortunate for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fan service thrown into one movie. There are some cool scenes, and I think that the graphics are really cool. So I was saying earlier to you, this is one I want to rewatch, and I'm going to be rewatching it soon, maybe tonight, because I really want to remind myself of the craziness. Whew, Sean, we're not getting too much new information at this point. So hopefully, in terms of news stories, hopefully we get more for next week. But we do have some new releases this week, the top 3 of which being as follows. Fatale is available now on Premium VOD. Premium VOD meaning it's probably going to be about $19.99 to rent and a higher cost to purchase. Pieces of a Woman, the movie that I can't shut up about, is available Thursday on Netflix. And Herself, the film I mentioned earlier, is available Friday on Amazon Prime Video. Will you be watching any or all of these?
For some reason, and I think this should not be the reason why I watch something or not, but I look at the poster for Fatale and I say, I will enjoy only 30 seconds of that. I can't really bother with that. Maybe if, I'm really desperate for a new movie, I'll go with that one. The other 2 have been ones that you have truly loved. So I'm looking forward to seeing them as well. So I will definitely be checking both of those out this weekend because I want new movies and I think I'm going to get some good ones here.
Hey, coming soon, and hopefully this pandemic starts to turn a corner of some sort. I did see today that Regal Theaters said that they would reopen hopefully in March or as soon. Maybe they didn't say March. Maybe I'm not making that up, or maybe I am making that up. But they said that they would reopen as soon as LA and New York reopen their theaters. So if LA can get their shit together, we will get movie theaters back a little wider, which might lead to more theatrical releases. I don't know. Who knows? Safety first. Sean, where can people find you?
People can find me on Math Teacher Movies on Instagram. I do Monologue Mondays, What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesdays, and Final Shot Fridays. I also do movie reviews, old and new, and TV reviews, old and new. And that's the half of it. Wait, what?
You just wanted to try out a new line at the end there.
I had to I need a stinger at the end, and I can't really get one good.
And you can find me at Guide to Movies on Instagram, guidetomovies.com, Guide to Movies 1 on Twitter, as well as somewhere else that I was just going to mention that I'm completely forgetting. Yeah, we're on Twitch too. Check that out. And you can find this podcast anywhere that you get your podcasts. But before we go, a few announcements of things coming up. On Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, Trivia Night with Guide to Movies and the Chumps will be a sports movie edition. So tune into that on YouTube, either by visiting the Chumpcast or myself on YouTube and the Chumpcast on Twitch. Never Coming Soon, episode 1, focused on Superman Lives, which I have been promising for a while, is on its way, is recorded, and is ready to go for Friday morning. So get ready for that. Search for Never Coming Soon on anywhere that you get your podcasts and be ready for that fun. And finally, today I made the quote-unquote announcement that the second annual Guide to Movies Virtual Film Festival will be March 25th through the 28th, a little earlier this year, but I am looking forward to providing some great content. Already had some people reach out today regarding films that they'd like to see included, meaning from quote-unquote studios and filmmakers. So it should, I don't know why I say quote unquote studios, from filmmakers is what I meant. So we do have some fun stuff coming down the road, and I'm looking forward to that. Follow Guys Film Festival on Instagram for all of the updates. Will you be there, Sean?
Oh, I am so excited for it. I will definitely be there for many a podcast recording, and any way you need me, buddy. Because hopefully this time you don't hold the festival the weekend I propose to my fiance. Well, no, that won't happen.
That won't happen.
Okay, I mean, see, you were smart about it. You knew which date I wouldn't be proposing again to Sam, and so there we go.
Sam's in the other room going, what the fuck is he talking about?
She's shaking her head right now.
Sean, before we go, what do you want to tell the people?
Before I do that, I would like to just mention, I really, I had a good segue, and I know you're the king of the segues for this, but when you were talking about all the DC, we were talking about all the DCE news, and we're just like, sorry if we're tinfoil hattish. Speaking of tinfoil hattish, there's a new movie coming out starring Tiffany Haddish. Also, wear your masks. No, I mean, I will say this right now, because now the new public service announcement is wear your damn masks, wear them everywhere, wear them all the time. For the love of God, we're almost done with this freaking thing. And also, when you have the opportunity, please get vaccinated. Doctors are saying it's okay. Listen to doctors. I know it's like, yeah, but according to this news article, for the love of God, listen to your doctor and get a vaccine, but also keep your mask on until then. Please, I want to go to a movie theater. I'm losing my mind.
Because you brought up vaccines, I can share that I did get the first one and did not have any effects whatsoever.
There we go.
So, of course, you're going to have the numbness in your arm because you just got a needle in your muscle. But that was about it. And by numbness, I mean soreness. Two totally different things. Definitely, follow all of that guidance. However, I will say, sadly, that Philadelphia health officials said today that it might be until next Christmas that everyone gets vaccinated. So,
no, we're not doing this. I can't do. We're not ending on that. Tinfoil hattish.
We're not ending on that either. Should we check for any breaking news? There is no breaking news. Sean, it's been fun. I will talk to you soon.
See you later, buddy.